Yes, guys, good evening. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to another edition of the R&R Revelation Show. I'm Rob. I'm obviously joined by my co-host, Rhys David Evans, but I am delighted to announce the return of Mr. Stevenage, the podcaster. Luca, how are you doing, mate? Welcome back.
Oh, cheers, mate. No, I'm honestly delighted to be back. I loved our preview episode, honestly. I think we discussed some amazing points and I thoroughly enjoyed it, honestly. And, we said we were going to get someone else in, around this time just to catch up and talk about stuff. And, yeah, honestly, delighted to be back on and really excited to talk about the window and what's been going on. And, yeah, really excited.
Awesome, mate. No, pleasure's ours, mate. Really appreciate you taking time out your evening. I know you're a busy man now, so really appreciate it, mate. Thank you. Rhys, how you doing, mate? You look high as a kite, but how you
rough
doing,
as
bud?
guts.
You okay?
Absolutely rough as guts. My eyes are watering, I'm sneezing, my nose is running, my chest is killing me. But I'll plug through.
There we are. That's enough of that then. Welcome all in the chat. As always, don't forget to get your questions, comments in. Idea for this evening is try and talk around transfer window. Keen to find out a bit about Stevenage's window, a bit of a up and down form the last few weeks. So keen to see how their window is going to affect them. And obviously we'll talk about Cardiff's window as well, as obviously it closed last night. So get your questions and your comments in regarding all the above. A lot better than Rhys Graham says. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. So, look, obviously last time we spoke, preview to the Cardiff Stevenage game. A little bit has changed in terms of form since then. What is it? Would you put it down to anything in particular that's caused that? Has players been out injured, or what's happened really? Makes you're thinking around you're still thinking around the playoffs anyway, but
yeah, I think it's honestly been a credit to the start we had. Utterly fantastic, and we always start seasons well. But to be 8th, I think it still just shows how unpredictable this league is completely. But honestly, I think the dip in form, because it's not been a dip, it's been a complete lull in form. I think it was 3 wins in 17 when I last checked. But it's been down to a few things, I think. I think we've had a few injuries. Our first choice right back, Luther James Wilding's been out for a few weeks, and then we've had Charlie Good out for the last few weeks. He's been a huge player for us this season. But it's not just down to that. I think it's also about that we've kept to what we know we're good at, and a lot of the time that's been found out. And the problem is we've kept on going with a 4-2-3-1 system, for example, which really engineered well at the start of the season. But, teams have found us out, and I feel like that setup doesn't work. And we've tried a 3-5-2 this season, away from home especially, which has picked us up results. And we know that is a really good formation to play and get us results when we're especially in this vein of form which we have been in, which has been really poor. But I think it just comes down to, honestly, us just sticking with our ways but doing that too much. And that's been the problem for us. I think that, especially at home, that's been the problem for me, because before Peterborough last week, we hadn't won at home since Luton in October. And that was a huge thing. And we were so good at home, and we didn't necessarily go losing in that space. We were just drawing games. But we were drawing games to bottom half sides that would always come with a low block. Every single team, you had Plymouth, Mansfield, Doncaster, the likes of them, all come into our stadium with the same low block formation. And we would go in with the same approach. We'd go in with the same formation, the 4-2-3-1, and then we would stick with that and really just, we wouldn't expand. We wouldn't get wide. We wouldn't have anything about us. We would play the same way and we'd expect a different result, but we wouldn't. We'd get a draw every single time.
Yeah.
And then not only was our home form poor at that time, but then our away form is something that's actually been better this season. If you look at the start of the season, our away form has been incredible. It was on par with you earlier in the season in terms of away form, but that tailed off as well, I think, because of our home form. And I think that we've lost our last 4 away games. I think we've tried to gamble a bit more away from home, which is good, but I don't think we found that balance. I feel like at home we struggle to take risks, and away from home we gamble too much at times. We feel like at home the results aren't amazing, so we need to go away from home and really give it. So, and in terms of, that was the case for Barnsley at the weekend, where we looked like we were really going for it in terms of the formation and the personnel we picked at the start of the game. But then we had an injury which completely changed our selection and formation and reverted us back to that defensive formation, which, you know, completely eradicated our chances of really getting anything meaningful out of the game.
Do you think it's a confidence thing then, mate? Do you think that the confidence is a bit shot now after that run of form? Because obviously it can happen. And you obviously, the good start you guys had, and almost like not saying this, but like the bubbles burst almost, and a bit of a reality check potentially. I don't know. Like, obviously, you know more than me, but
I think the problem is that when something doesn't really work, we tend to go back to the things that we know will work. So a lot of the time, even if we have the assets available in terms of a quality wide player or a good defensive player, we might not use them. We might not use them in a different formation or a different position, because that would be taking too much of a gamble. You know, we want to, of course, people know us for being a very defensive side that, you know, we trust on our wheels being defensively, keeping clean sheets and being defensively solid. That's what we build off, and that's how we govern as a team. So, yeah, I do think it is probably a confidence thing as well, because, yeah, risks need to be taken. But maybe that's something we've been getting wrong recently, that we haven't been taking them, and maybe we haven't been taking them at the right time, maybe to win games and pick up more points where we could have won points, and maybe instead of drawing, maybe.
How deep is your squad though? Because we're fortunate to be. I mean, we have Ruben who play the 10, Kellerman, Joel, Callum Robinson. In midfield, if Robertson is tired, you got Turnbull. If Willock is tired, we've got Isaac Davis or Kieran Ashford or Tarna. And we've got quite a deep squad. Is that same with you guys, or is it because, you know, tiredness builds up, you know, especially the December period? It's difficult, and then it comes to January as well.
I think at the start of the season we looked really good in every single position. I think our depth was something we all highlighted as fantastic. Defensively and probably in the midfield as well, I think we are still as strong as we were. And especially defensively, I wouldn't change a thing, really. I know we brought in a young lad from Sutton, but that's a project player for the future this window. But we have, I think at the start of the season, we had, in terms of strikers, we had 3 or 4, and you would go, okay, that takes us into the season well, and we can compete well, and we can, you know, compete for the playoffs, those top positions with that array of strikers. But we've had injuries. We've realised that maybe a few of the strikers we've brought in haven't been good enough. And there's been a lot of reshuffling. And to be fair, as we come into the end of this window, you have Jamie Reid, who is, you know, our out-and-out striker. He scores goals every season for us, and he's our man. But we've also had that loss of not really having that big physical striker. And that's the thing we go on about all the time. We had Gaston Ahadme from Charlton, who we brought in. Wasn't amazing. We brought him in on loan, but he was out for the rest of the season a few months ago, and he's gone back to Charlton, training with them, rehab. So we still missed that big physical 9. And this window, we've brought in Harry Cornick, who from Bristol City, who is kind of the same profile as Jamie Reid in a way. He's mobile, he's versatile, and he's not really a target man.
He's proven, though. He is a proven player, I would say. You know, we're talking about signings and windows. You know, we've come across him a few times over the years with Cardiff, and he's had his moments against us wearing the Bristol City shirt. So, but yeah, as you said, he's not that big target man, which seems to be the case with you craving.
That's the thing that we crave, yeah, especially because for Jamie Reid, the thing this season, there's been so much emphasis on him, and so many people have been slating him for his output, the fact that he doesn't really create a lot of chances for himself and finish a lot of chances, despite the fact he scores a lot of goals still. And it's because of that player he doesn't have alongside him, and we're forced to play him in a lone striker role, getting the ball hoofed up the pitch to him to you know, battle with the defenders and win it like that, which is not his game. He wants it on the floor, and he doesn't want defenders up his backside. He wants to be linking play, getting in the box and finishing first time. That's his sort of game, and he wants to be receiving the flick-ons from someone, not being the player that is doing the flick-ons. So, and it's been an internal problem for a long time, really. I think that if we really want to progress, we've got to upgrade in that department everywhere, not just in that physical 9. We need to upgrade in Reedy's department, because although Reedy is a fantastic striker on his day, and when he's in the right conditions, he's amazing. And he proved that. I think a few years ago, he got around 25 goals in all competitions in the season. And he shows that he can do that. But we do need to upgrade in that department completely. And I don't know if it's going to come back to bite us, not going out and prioritising that big physical 9. I hope that we can, withstand the rest of the season with the options we've got. But the summer, it has to be the focus for me. The physical 9, get them in the door, because having that player in our system just benefits so many other players.
And if you're not going to go for that big number 9, you surely be looking at changing the style of play then, and not going the route one football and things like that, which Reece and I are very much accustomed to, or have been accustomed to, I should say, for the last, 10 years, 15 years, maybe, watching Cardiff. But yeah, you've got to look at play to their strengths, haven't you? I mean, is the loan market still open, or is that shut now as well? Does anybody know?
I think it's all shut, isn't it?
It's just a free agent's job then.
Free agent, yeah.
But like I say, it doesn't even matter as well what style of play you play. I mean, look at Sarlik for us. We play some of the most exciting football I've seen, and he still uses a target man to bring others into play, because defenders will stay on him and they'll create space in behind for someone else. And the link up play with others is massive. So I think maybe saying when we first come on about this year was he wasn't expecting the playoff challenge. Nothing. It's maybe the club are looking at the same thing, thinking we'll see where we are and we'll see what we'll spend next summer then. And even if you don't make the playoffs now, it's a good foundation you've built now for next season, where maybe the opener will go, I will spend a bit more now on that striker. I think the biggest issue clubs have always identifying the right players for certain clubs. I mean, we've gone up and spent money before on players, and they've not suited our brand of football, the style we want to play. I think that's the most important thing, is just identifying the players.
Look at the money we spent over the years, mate. Look at the money we spent over the years, and
under Warnock.
What's that?
Under Warnock. He brought Aidan Flint to Sean Morrison. He brought in Aidan Flint to play alongside Sean Morrison. Any football fan would tell you, if them two wouldn't work together, they're too similar. We bought Bobby Deckard over Reed. We didn't play the style of football suited to him. We were signing players that didn't really suit us. We've seen us waste a lot of money, so it's nice to see us actually.
Look, Gary Medines of the world.
Exactly, 6 million.
6 million on Gary Medine. Was it one goal?
No, didn't score a goal for us.
Oh yeah, he missed a penalty. Did he miss a penalty? Didn't he?
Penalty.
Missed a penalty. There we are.
Having the right network, I think, is vital.
And that's what Graham mentions here. We've been lucky as well that not just our strikers been scoring. Sarge is scoring all the time, as the chant goes. But it is very much spread, isn't it? Like, we're not just reliant on one player doing the business, as it were. It just seems mad, though, still. Like, I remember for the last few years where our centre halves have been the top scorers. Because of long balls, from long throw-ins or from corners and things like that.
Because that was our moment. Every single season, that is what we do.
Was it the year before last? I think Perry and G was a joint top scorer at one point.
Yeah,
six goals, and he went on for a while for that.
He had a couple of free kicks, didn't he, as well? He scored a couple of free kicks, in fairness as well to him. But all right back. It's nuts, isn't it? It's crazy how things turn.
Was it 13 league goals for us last season? Callum Robinson had. I think it was 13 league goals or 13 in total. And I think that was the first time in a while we hit double figures, I think. So it's we've seen it. Like, it's great now to have a plan in place and identifying players.
What was I going to say? So who did you bring in then in January?
So we brought in 3 players. So obviously I've mentioned Harry Cornick, who's probably the only main first team player we've actually brought in, because the 2 others are I'd say, project players for next season, probably, who both came in for undisclosed fees. So, of course, Harry Cornick came in on loan till the end of the season, and he's had a bit of an injury stint with Bristol City. He hasn't really been getting any game time for them in the Championship, so he's come down and he's looked pretty good in his first few opening games. He's had one start so far where he played 60 minutes at home to Peterborough, and he really showed us, who he was, in terms of how mobile he is, versatile. He drops in and he links up with play as well, and he's a good presser with the ball as well. But he's obviously lacking in minutes, and that's the thing we need to solve in the next few games. But we're getting him up to speed, and that's a really good thing, because he's a really good option to have when, we're kind of forcing Jamie Reid to play every single game. That's the problem. But then the other two, we had Jack Taylor coming in centre-half, 20-year-old from Sutton. And that was for a 5-figure fee, undisclosed. And we've always said, so we have Carl Piagiani and Charlie Good as our main two centre-halves. And then we've got Lewis Freestone, who's a younger centre-half who now plays at left-back for us. But we've always said that he is the project Piagiani. He is the one that people think will replace him. And then people look at this lad that we've brought in, Jack Taylor, and people look at him as a replacement for Charlie Good, someone who's taller, someone who's better on the ball, and someone who wins their aerial duels. So, and I really like it because we're investing in young talent, but we're doing it for long-term development, and we're not doing it for the now. We're doing it for next season to boost us up the table, maybe in terms of our squad depth next season as well. And it's something we've been doing of recent. Like Harvey White was a player that we brought in from Tottenham for a big undisclosed fee, and he wasn't really entirely proven at EFL level. He came in under Steve Evans and then had a season where he was just settling in. But the last 2 seasons, he's played game after game, and he's been integral to us. And he's had Championship interest higher up the Championship, and that's come as a result of our investment in young talent. And I really hope this, with Jack Taylor, that's something we can do. And then we brought in Joe Knight from Brighton. So he's a 20-year-old defensive midfielder, central midfielder. And I mean, if anyone coming from Brighton's academy, you're going to be optimistic what they're giving. And he was a 6-figure fee, so we put a lot of trust into him. I think he's made 1 appearance off the bench for Brighton's first team in the Premier League this season. And he's just a midfielder, honestly, that next season I think will benefit us so much. He's a tenacious player, but he's elegant. He gives every single thing that we want. And it's someone that in a few years we could develop and look to sell on, like we've done with, I'll mention later, Ryan Doherty. And yeah, I really like it, honestly, in terms of that side of the spectrum. In terms of bringing in young players for long-term development, I think we've nailed that this window, and I love that because we've gone in, we've been bold, and we've thought of Championship League One interest to go and get these lads on permanence as well, not just loans. And then I really like Harry Cornick. I do. I think it's another option that we really need. And getting someone from a higher league that's played there and, is also proven in League One as well. So, and you always need that. You always need experience, even if we're not going and getting that physical 9 that we desperately need. If we're going and getting that experience that could carry us over the line and get us a few more important goals to win matches, then it's a no-brainer for me. So, in terms of the incomings, I reckon it's tolerable for most fans, but I think it'll be overshadowed by the fact we haven't gone and got that big 9. But I think the 3 signings are good. What we've brought in is good, but people would have expected more because of the things and the players that other teams have brought in. And I think the fans would go, we should be competing with them if we want to kind of consolidate our position. But we'll see how it goes, honestly. I just think for us, it makes the summer even bigger in terms of who we bring in. But we'll see how it goes. For me, I can tolerate the incomings.
I think it's a model you've seen a lot more of now is chairman okay with spending the money on young academy players from other clubs. And they know it's an investment because 3 or 4 years down the line, you might sell him for 10 times what we brought him in for. I think you've seen a lot of clubs now will go in for these academy players elsewhere just for the investment alone. And if they have 1 or 2 great seasons, brilliant. But it's the money at the end of it. And I think it's a model I think you're going to see a lot more of as well going in the future now with like some Brighton's Academy. They'll be selling players on to League One, League Two, trying to bring in that money for further down the line. Like,
I think that's a good move for British football then as well, isn't it? It shows that there's okay, if these lads are not making it initially at these clubs, that there is a plan B, there is a way to stay in the game, there is a way to still develop, and you're not going to get kicked straight out of the football altogether, like, and try and go find something else to do with your life. Because some of these kids who come through the academy, Christ, some of them start like 6-7 years of age these days, and which is a different story and different talk altogether, by the way. But I think it's great that other clubs are doing that, as long as they're not. I think the club needs to be right, doesn't it? Like we've said with loan signings, the Cardiff are loaned out and things like that, where we're loaning out some of these academy players. We'll go neck hour for argument's sake. What about young prospects? I don't think he's miles away from getting into the first team. Personally, been a big fan of his since his, for the last few years, watching the younger age groups and stuff. But he's gone on loan to a struggling Newport team, and Newport, who most likely will get relegated out of the Football League this season. That's a tough old move for him to go to. Then I think I'm not sure if that's the best move for him. He's probably done it because of its location and things like that potentially. I don't think he even played that much recently.
He didn't play the weekend. I think he's played one game from, I think. But again, like you said, if he goes to Newport now and doesn't set the world alight, people are going to say, well, he failed in E2. And that can have a massive influence on the youngster. I mean, look at Oli Tanner. We sent him alone to non-league, and he just didn't get minutes. He come back to us, and he was in our first team straight away. So we've just called one of our youngsters back, Will Spears from Eastleigh. So I won't be surprised if things are not going well to recall someone else again. But it's a massive thing now. You look at 10, 15 years ago, League One, League Two teams, 30-year-olds. The average age was probably about 28, 29 years old back then. Anyone with experience, it was signing now. It's a case of bring youngsters in, bring that development player through, and sell him on. So it's moving in the right direction, I think.
100%. Right, so we go to some questions and comments then. Did you want to flag up our one first of all from Si?
Yeah, Si asked me to ask. I've not even mentioned it really. He just said, have you signed a big striker yet? Because he said he thinks you're in danger of missing the playoffs if you didn't sign one. But you've mentioned you've disappointed the lack of big number 9 coming through. But has anyone gone from the club then that you were... Oh, it's not actually. Was anyone you were close to signing you missed out on?
Sorry. I thought it was something else. Yeah, carry on. Sorry. I lost where I was then.
No, honestly, we've gone for a few players. I think we've always been in the discussion of bringing in younger number 9s, I think. Well, I think we've never really gone for that big experienced one, which I think a lot of people probably wanted. Because you've seen, at League One clubs, like Lincoln. Lincoln brought in James Collins, and he had an instant impact when he was brought in I think, January last year. And I always revert back to an example like that because it's an example of if you bring in him short-term, a player that's got experience Championship League One, then it can really have that brilliant short-term impact that a club needs to carry out their season and, just really achieve their goals before the summer in terms of what they then can bring in when they've got more funds. So we always went for that younger profile, bigger striker. I think we went for a youngster from Aston Villa a few days ago. I think we went for a Swansea youngster that Huddersfield ended up getting. So we always were trying, and I think it's an obvious position that we need to improve, and I think a lot of people in the club know that as well. So it's a position I think we will definitely improve in the summer. But the problem for us of recent has been that we've brought in those younger players and there've been too many risks. There've been too many risks because they're players that aren't proven, they're younger, and they've had maybe one good spell in their career and they're moved up to League One level and they don't cut it. And that's the problem. We then find out when we bought in the summer that in January they're not good enough. And that's been the spell for us, unfortunately. We've seen it season after season and we haven't got that great striker in. We haven't brought that striker in and they've lasted. None of them have lasted, honestly. I think the strikers we have now, it's Reedy, who's been there since COVID, and then Harry Cornick, obviously. And then all the other strikers are either out on loan or have been considered not good enough because they haven't scored enough goals for us or done an impact for us. So it's been a problem for us. But we need to try and sign that other profile striker maybe, so that on the other end of the spectrum, a more experienced 9 maybe. I know it's hard to bring in, very hard to bring in, especially in January. I mean, I wouldn't expect to really go out and buy anyone amazing. But in the summer, it's something you go and look at and go, okay, so we've had these few transfer windows where we've kind of failed in terms of bringing in a striker. We need to go out and take that risk to push to the next level. And that's what I really want to see in the summer.
Well, I think Paul Malin would have been a good one for you. That could have worked. Did he go Bradford in the end, I think?
Yeah. Well, they got rid of Callum Kavanagh, Graham's son. And he was decent in League 2 as well as a target man. But I think in the summer is the best chance because it's like a domino effect. And all of a sudden, there's players up to contract. One club signs player X, and all of a sudden they put up player Y and Z on transfer list. And all of a sudden, day one is massive amount of players available, and it's just picking the right ones and having an attractive package you can offer them. So I think the summer is that's where you got to get the business done early, I think.
Question here before we start. We'll jump to this one first, actually, from Paul. What's the youth system like at Stevenage? It's difficult to compete with being near to other London clubs. This is a good one because we had similar conversation with Lewis, a Luton fan who does shows and things like that as well. And similar sort of scenario where Luton Town's in a big catchment area of other big clubs and things like that. Do you find yourselves are you aware of that? Do you have that sort of problem yourself where, other players are getting picked up by so-called bigger clubs around you?
They are, I think they are, but I think it's probably a credit to how well our youth academy is doing, honestly. I think we're into our under-18s are now into the 5th round of the FA Youth Cup, which is amazing. I think it's the furthest we've gone by a country mile ever. I think we've got Crystal Palace this week at home on our main pitch, and that's a huge thing for us and credit to how well they're doing. But our youth academy is situated really close to the stadium. So as long as you drive up to our ground, you see it on the left and it's really close. So, and in terms of our success recently, it's been amazing. I think we've had so many different talents that have been given chances in EFL trophy matches, EFL Cup, even in the league at the back end of the season. We've really started to give young players a chance, and I feel like that's when we had Steve Evans. I don't think it was ever a possibility to really get that in. I think it was always experience over youth. But as Ravel's came in his second tenure, he's really tended to give the opportunities to younger players, which is really, really good because we've got honestly an amazing array of talents. And I'll touch on him, Ryan Doherty, 17-year-old who yesterday moved to Ipswich for a fee that with add-ons could rise to over $1 million, which for us is incredible. And from minute one when he was playing for us in pre-season, I think he played against Watford as a 15-year-old and he started in a pre-season friendly against them. We knew he would go to the top in terms of what sale we'd get for him, what money we'd get for him. He started against you on that Tuesday night game when you came away to us. Yeah. And he's technically brilliant, and he's, in terms of how mature he is, he's incredible. The basics, he does them so well. And it's just a credit to the faith he's been given because he started every single trophy game this season, 90 minute after 90 minute, and then also playing games for the under-18s as well. So the minutes and the legs he's been getting this season has been incredible. And then to have that faith to then have all the interest from Premier League sides, Championship sides, it's been a credit to us. And it's, in terms of our youth academy, it's rapidly improving. One talent is there, goes, and then you find there's another talent who could follow the same path. And that's really something that we're starting to see at the moment, which is amazing. And as I said, a credit to how well we as a club are doing at the moment.
Quality. You made Reece really emotional over that speech then.
Again, it's a small team. I'm just rough as guts, that's all.
I mean, cheating. Did you ask me, Reece, before?
Yeah, just to say it's all. It's massive to our manager who has faith in youth, like we had Neil Warnock. And he gave a speech at one point saying that there's no one in the Cardiff Academy good enough to play, and I don't think will be for years. And he leaves. All of a sudden, Joel Bacon comes through, Isaac Davis comes through, Ruben Colwell comes through, and then you see Warnock afterwards going, "Yeah, I always knew they'd make it." Well, he clearly didn't, because he was at the time he was not good enough. Just need a manager brave enough to chuck them in and give them a run of games. No matter how they perform, just give them that run, let them embed themselves in the team.
Yeah, and it's how the fans back them then anyway, isn't it? Like, fans will always back and cheer for youngsters and the academy boys and things like that. You have to be pretty much of a dick to, go after like academy players, like your own academy players if they have a bad game or something like that. But one thing I wanted, before we start wrapping him up, I wanted to jump to from Graham. How have Stevenage found referees this season?
I think you know what my reaction is going to be.
Yeah.
The problem is finding a competent ref. That's the thing. That's the problem. You don't look to find a poor ref. You look to find an actual competent ref. I just think, in terms of the officiating, I think it goes. You see it week upon week, and you see it around the grounds across the country. The standard's getting worse, and that's the problem. You don't think it can get worse because you've seen how bad it has been.
Yeah.
But one week you turn up to a game and the refereeing is awful, and then you turn up the following Tuesday or something, and it's even worse. And you don't understand how decisions can be, seen like that, seen that poorly by I think not just the referee but the officials as a whole. I think the standard has dropped, and referees have been allowed to get away with those decisions as they make poor games and then they get promoted. That's the problem. They get promoted to higher divisions for poor performances in games. But I think it's such a big issue, I feel, with the lower league that there isn't more emphasis on it. So when there's a huge decision in a game that, sways the tide of a game completely and, might rob fans of their tickets, might rob fans of the value they get. And then you don't see the emphasis on it from TV, from everything. You don't see it. You only see it for the higher leagues, and that's the big problem, because I feel like there's so much emphasis on referees in the Premier League with VAR but when you switch it and look at the EFL, there isn't emphasis, and I would say that the officiating is worse, and because there isn't emphasis on it, and referees will just get away with it because fans will now accept that is the norm, that is the standard, and you're lucky to come away from a game saying you've had a competent refereeing performance then, and you've been happy with the way that the ref has refereed the game. So I think it affects all clubs, honestly in the EFL, and I think you see it so often, and a lot of things have got to change before fans start giving into it.
And I think we've spoken about some different shows. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get seriously hurt badly. You look at that game, that Stockport County game we had a couple of weeks ago. And do you know what? Like, at first you find it funny, almost like the incompetence, and it just went beyond that. It was 3 main flashpoints in that game. Sarge got wiped out entirely in his head, and he had to get taken to hospital. There was an incident where, I forget the striker's name, where he basically who was the defender?
Windle, he looks at the Windle. He sees him.
He looks at Windle and swings his shoulder back as clear as day and catches him in the face, and nothing given whatsoever. And then there was the experience, Ollie Norwood, who flat out 2-footed high was it Callum Robinson?
Callum Robinson, yeah.
Callum Robinson, yeah. Feet off the ground, 2 feet, literally just shy of his knee.
This is the thing though, because honestly, we had our first game, one of our first games that was on Sky, back on Sky a few years ago. I think it was the 23-24 season. We had an away game to Peterborough, and after 20 minutes, our captain elbowed one of their players, and the TV cameras picked it up on the replays, and he got sent off for it, I think. So, and honestly, it just shows when you've got the emphasis on it, the decisions can be so much better. And I don't think they're highlighted enough. Honestly, of course, you've got the problem with implementing VAR into the lower leagues, which wouldn't work. But then you've got, when you see shows like Ref Watch after, and you see them looking at Premier League decisions, why aren't they looking at EFL decisions?
Exactly.
Why aren't they looking down the leagues and critiquing the games, the poor decisions that people are picking up on? You know?
It's Sky for you though, mate. Let's go spade a spade. Sky is shit. They literally don't care about the Football League. Fact. All they care about is top flight.
I've seen the Grant McCann incident from the weekend. That says it all. So I think, was it offside? I think there was a goal scored, right? And someone was offside, I think it was. Grant McCann showed the linesman an iPad footage of it. Both the linesmen showed iPad footage. The linesman then changes his mind and takes the goal off. You're not allowed to do that. Again, that's just... It's baffling how this is happening. It just shows how bad the standard is.
Right. I am getting removed, so I do apologise. I have to finish on that. Thank you all so much for your questions, your comments. Luca, mate, absolute diamond as always. Thank you so much for joining, mate. I think we catch up with you soon, man. At the end of the season or something, we'll have a little catch up and see how it's all ended. Reese, I don't know what to say to you. Just sort your eyes out and sort your face out. Right. Again, everyone, thanks for your questions, comments. I'm not sure what's coming up, but obviously keep an eye on your socials, and so I will share the love and all that. But thank you again, and good night, God bless, and goodbye, my friend.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards, from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the Spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.